I'd like to call tonight's, meeting to order. If you ever receive the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Here.
Here.
Yes, we have two absences. Mr. Pratt is excused.
Okay.
Okay, I need a motion to adopt the agenda as presented in front of you. Mr. George, second. Mr. Christopher. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? We don't have any comments from the public tonight. Sorry, I'm not looking. Yes.
Okay. Been here. Next item on the agenda is to accept the unofficial April 2nd, 2024 Fort Zumwalt School District Board of Education election results. As many of you are aware, Fort Zumwalt is classified as an urban district, and as such, we have 10 days to accept the election results. In this case, they're unofficial, but that's the timeline, and then reorganize the Board of Education. So for this election, we had 2 vacant seats, and the 2 candidates receiving the most votes were in order, Tommy George Jr. and Gabriel Helms. What I would ask is that the board would consider and accept these unofficial results.
Right. I need a motion to accept the unofficial results of the April 2nd election.
I so move.
Dr. Marion, second. Ms. Burke. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right.
And then as a result of that, what we'll do, we will swear in the newly elected board members. Gabriel Helms will be sworn in tomorrow in a separate ceremony due to his having an obligation this evening. So we'll do that according to our requirements, but we will go ahead and go solo for Tommy being sworn in. So you get to go down front and everything.
You take a picture. Sure.
Okay.
So you read that, but it's the same.
Yep. just repeat after.
Okay.
Okay. All right, I state your name. Thank you. Raise your right hand.
I, Tommy George Jr.,
Do solemnly
Marion? All in favor? Say aye. All right. Congratulations, Mr. Jones. I'm gonna text him right now. All right, so our next, we need a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented. Mr. Christopher, second. Dr. Marion, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Right, our financial reports.
Good evening, members of the board. I direct your attention to the monthly financial summary to bring together the financial reports for the month. Cash and fund balances for March totaled $175,290,921.08. As shown on the balance sheet, of that balance, $25.2 million was reserved for debt service, $29.9 million was reserved for capital projects, $7 million was reserved for food service, $2.8 million was reserved for student activities, leaving $110.4 million for operations. And as shown on the investment schedule, $161.4 million of that was invested at month end. And I'd like to point out, we're still seeing our average returns around 5.4%, which is really good right now. Monthly revenues for March totaled $17,624,143.17. For the month, the district received $9.4 million from local sources, $5.9 million from state, $2.3 million from federal. Both state and federal are as expected for the month and are almost identical to last March. Those are coming in pretty consistently. Local revenues are up for the month by $4.8 million, and this is really due to a timing variance of $3.2 million in state assessed utility. That was paid last year in February, but they paid it this year in March. So that's why it was off. And if you recall last month, we were actually down by that $3.2 million because it was a variance because we didn't get it. So we've caught up now for the year. And as noted in previous financial reports, the remaining increases are related to property tax receipts, Prop C, and interest earnings, which are all doing very well this year. In addition, the district received an increase of $632,000 in E-rate funding, and that is related to teacher laptops. That was part of an emergency COVID connectivity fund. We filed for that back in 2022, and we actually just got word that they had approved it, and so we just received those funds. To get a small piece of bad news today, because we had lease purchased those, we're going to have to pay those last two payments off early, which was kind of unexpected because we thought that it was all a done deal. But anyway, so that money's coming in and it's going right back out to pay for the leases. Well, it's not a bad thing. It's still propping up our fund balances, but just thought I'd point that out. When we look at year-to-date, revenues are up by $21.8 million in total compared to last year at this time. Local sources are making up $19.4 million of that increase, led by $13 million in local property taxes, $3.8 million in interest, and $2 million more in Prop C. And it's also worth noting that $1.6 million in state funding increases. It's kind of split between transportation and the high needs fund. So we actually filed more for high needs this year, and our transportation is still being fully funded. So those are good things. Monthly expenses for March totaled $22,533,369.75. For the month of March, the district has spent $17.6 million on salaries and benefits, $1.6 million on purchase services, $1.3 million on supplies, and $2.1 million on capital and construction. And compared to last year at this time, expenses are up by $29.1 million. In total, $8 million of that increase was due to salaries and benefits, and that's really that 17.6 where we spent for the month, and right where we're spending now is right where we should be. Purchase services are up by 0.9, and that was driven by increased spending on contract transportation. Property casualty, I know we talked about, those rates are really inflated. It's a bad market right now. Everybody's seeing an increase in their property casualty, and probably see another one next year based on all the hail damage that we've had here recently. Professional development was also part of that increase, and a new student data and contract transportation and property casualty and professional development. Also, a new student data system and the expansion of the Leader Me program. Supply costs are higher, and that's by 2.8, and that's because we chose to purchase the computers this year instead of lease purchasing those. So it's kind of the time to get out of the lease purchase market right now. Capital spending is also up by $16.5 million so far this year, and as you can see, the North Middle expansion is progressing well, and I think so is North High. So that's where a lot of that money's going, and will in the next year go. So, I don't know if anybody has any questions?
Any questions? All right, if not, I need a motion to approve the financial reports as presented. Mr. Christopher, second. Ms. Byrd, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Old business?
All right, thank you. First item under old business is facility planning. Lisa Kester has a request related to the Clemens Center, some additional concrete work that we need to do. Lisa, if you would walk us through that, that'd be great.
Sure, thank you, Dr. Myers. As you guys know, part of the bond or the board group policy is any change orders that are over $11,000 need to be brought to you for approval. Well, over at Mike Clemens Center, we ran into some additional concrete that had to be removed to move some existing utilities to get that building up and started. So we removed the concrete, and now we need to put it back. And it was unforeseen to get it out. And to be honest, some of it was in bad shape. We probably should have included it in the scope of work to begin with. So with that being said, the additional costs are $13,758. It's basically to replace that drive between the two buildings, the old and the new. We checked it with our civil engineer. He thinks the costs are very reasonable. And I'm just asking for approval so we can move forward.
Any questions? All right, if not, I need a motion to approve Mike Clemens Center additional concrete work as recommended.
Motion.
Dr. Marion, second. Mr. George, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right.
Next item, just a reminder, at the last meeting, we discussed this in more depth, so this is more of a procedural request at this point. Jeff is going to walk us through a resolution authorizing the issue of general obligation refunding and improvement bonds. As we discussed at the last meeting, we got some folks here in addition available to answer questions if needed. But Jeff, if you want to walk us through and do any introductions, we'll go from there.
There are a lot of pages in this, in the resolutions and the attachments that go along with this. So it's really, we're selling 20 million in new bonds, and we're also refunding a significant amount of bonds, and should realize around probably about 7% savings depending on the market. So that's kind of what the last analysis had shown. And tonight we have Colin Hilpert and Becky Esrock, and they're both from Gilmore and Bell. Lorenzo couldn't be here. He has a family function with his father. I know I had a conversation with him about that. He's sad that he couldn't be here, but happy he's with his dad. And then Sean Flynn, he's part of our bond council from Gilmore and Bell. And so I'm sure you guys read every word in all those 200-page documents in there. So, but if anybody has any questions, they would be happy to answer any. But that's pretty much it in a nutshell. Any questions?
Nope. All right, if not, I need a motion to approve the resolution authorizing the issuance of general obligation refunding and improvement bonds. Mr. Christopher, second. Dr. Marion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you guys for coming.
Thank you all for making the trip out.
They did all the work behind the scenes before they got there, really. That's where they do all the work.
New business, all right. First item under new business is policy
Sorry to keep
development.
you so long.
Comes us ahead. We have part of our quarterly policy review. Jeremy's provided the packet in advance and been available to answer any questions. So pretty much a standard legal update here, but Jeremy's going to walk us through an overview of it and then answer any questions.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Myers, ladies and gentlemen of the board. Following last month's board meeting, it provided you with what would be our second update this past year. We'll probably have one more prior to the June board meeting. I know this was a bit of a large packet of information that I provided you. Essentially, though, what it really does with the legal mandates that were put forth, and then MSBA works with their policymakers to make the recommendations to us, really restating with the legalization of marijuana in the state of Missouri. This is really essentially language that goes within these policies to say that because we follow the federal Drug-Free Work Act, we need to become in compliance with federal state statutes, which has not legalized marijuana. So a lot of the wording then matches up with both for our personnel policies, but then We also then made those consistent recommendations within language change for for all the JGR policies that would be for our students as well. That was the large bulk of the policy development. We also did some changes, and that was working with some board members and Dr. Myers with regards to the evaluation of the superintendent. So notice that the forms within that, we did some changing of that and some recommendations, and it brings us in line with what is also current practice with MSBA policy as well. So yeah, I can answer any questions that you may have with regards to those policies.
Any questions? All right, if not, I need a
A lot of
motion.
stuff.
There's a lot of stuff, I know,
I
yeah.
need a motion to approve the policy development as presented. Dr. Marion, second Ms. Bird, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Next item, we have Amy here from the math department, curriculum department, and also Jen Waters. This is a review and update of our high school mathematics electives curriculum. So they're going to go over the content for the board and kind of explain in detail what we're looking at. Jen, you want to take it from there?
I will. Thank you, Dr. Myers.
Thank you.
We have with us this evening Dr. Amy Sand, who is the secondary math curriculum coordinator, and Amy is going to present to you the new electives that we have written for grades 9 through 12. I'm really impressed with how thoughtful they were with the selections and the materials that they have put together, kind of along with our other career path work. They've done some work to really try to open up those math electives for students to take a fourth year of math, something that is relevant to whatever is next, whether that be the university level or whether that be a trade school or a career. So she's going to talk to you a little bit about that this evening, and we will ask for your approval.
Thank you, Mrs. Waters. Thank you, Dr. Myers and Board of Education, for allowing me to present to you for your consideration the cherry on top of the sundae. This is my third year in a row of presenting curriculum to you. So this is the piece that I think is the most exciting, and that personally I am the most proud of the work that we've done. I'm proud of all the work that we've done, but this is the piece that I'm really the most excited about. So we are going to present to you our math electives. So the most important goal of the work of this committee was to make sure that all of our math students feel comfortable and encouraged to take a fourth year of math, not just those that are traditionally going to a four-year university, and to make sure that the offerings that we have are in line with their career and life goals. So unfortunately, none of my committee could be here tonight because a lot of these high school teachers are coaches and have extracurricular activities that they're involved in. But these are the members of each team. We had our AP Pre-Calculus team, our college algebra team, and then our new electives. So these are the dedicated teachers that have worked last year to put together what we are presenting to you tonight. So our process is really similar to the process that I've described the last two times I've been in front of you. We formed the committees based on recommendations from our principals who oversee the math departments in their buildings and department chairs. And we wanted to make sure we had representation from all buildings for all three of the teams. And our committee members have a wide range of experiences in their teaching of mathematics and their own experiences with mathematics. And the decisions that were made by the committee had ongoing support from their buildings. So they would take their work back to their buildings, have discussions in their departments. So even though they are the faces that were doing the work, it really is a representation of all of the departments in the district. So the first courses I wanted to talk about are the existing electives that we had, which are college algebra and pre-calculus. The only thing that was new to this is that we are adding the AP moniker in front of pre-calculus. College Board several years ago put into works the addition of adding pre-calculus as an AP course. which basically means now our students have two choices to receive college credit for pre-calculus. They can take college credit through our dual partnership with Missouri Baptist, or they can take the AP exam at the end of the course and receive AP credit, which is recognized by many colleges and universities as the same thing as college credit. So we also reviewed any changes from higher education and our dual credit partners. We have a really good relationship with Missouri Baptist, which is our dual partnership currently, and they are very fond of our teachers. They appreciate the dedication that our teachers have had in the entirety of the relationship. So we wanted to make sure we were in alignment with their recommendations and their qualifications to receive the dual credit. And then we are adding the AP moniker to pre-calculus, and when we were evaluating the resources, we were looking for alignment and accuracy in the mathematics, the appropriate level of rigor, because these classes are college credit, college level classes. We needed to make sure that our resources that we chose were in alignment with that which is expected at a college level, how easy they were to use, and how they were designed to facilitate student learning, not just the teaching aspect, but student learning. But also how easy they were for our teachers to use for planning and the assessment piece. So the new electives, which are exciting, we did take a lot of time. I feel like we've been working on this for 5 years because we've been talking about it in our IACs, really wanted to get it right. So we reviewed the electives that the districts around us who are similar to us in demographic and size are currently offering, and any shifts and changes that they've made away from the traditional offerings. We looked at the Missouri Pathways, which is the Missouri Pathways were developed in 2014 to be in compliance with House Bill number 1042, which basically created the Core 42, which, if you're not familiar with Core 42, it's a list of 42 courses in a variety of subject matters that all Missouri state schools have reciprocity and must accept credit from each other. So if it's a public college or university, they have to, and then since we partner with MOBAP, they applied to be part of Core 42. So we wanted to make sure we were in alignment with the pathways, which break all of the offerings at the college level down into 4 categories. There's mathematical reasoning, there's pre-calculus algebra based, there's pre-calculus which is STEM based, and then there's statistical reasoning. We also asked our students, we asked our current 11th and 12th grade students what they wanted in terms of new electives, what they were interested in after high school. So we wanted to make sure that what our vision was matched what their vision is, so that we were creating courses that students would want to take, not just to have new courses. Then we got down to the real work, which is putting the courses together. So we dove into the content, using the Missouri Pathways as our big guiding post, created our learning outcomes and expectations, which you have in the attached document that Mrs. Waters sent to you. And then we chose a resource. So the 3 new courses that we created are an Intro to Statistics, which is basically an overview of the whole field of statistics. We know that being able to digest data and statistics is a very important skill for all adults in this world, that we are bombarded with data. So we wanted to make sure that we had a statistics class that was welcoming for all students, not just our AP statistics class. Survey and mathematics is more of how these math topics that I learned in my core classes could apply to real world applications. If I wanted to be a construction worker, what is this going to look like in that field? So it's more application based. And then contemporary algebra is kind of that middle ground. Students that may want to go to a trade school or a 4-year college, it's not as rigorous as college algebra, but it will be a good stepping stone for those students who want to continue on to take college algebra or another math course in college. And just to give you a broad picture of what all of our mathematics in high school can look like for different students, this is the graphic that's in our course guide. So our core pathway is basically 70% of our students who enter Algebra 1 as a freshman, and what their pathway could look like for the rest of their 4 years in high school. College readiness, this is a pathway for students who probably are going to a four-year college or university but may not be interested in a STEM career. The STEM or STEAM career pathway is for those students who are probably going to be engineers or some other career that's going to require more advanced studies of mathematics in college. And then our alternative core is for students who may not quite be ready for Algebra 1 yet as a freshman. But what we like about the pathways is the fluidity and the ability to bounce from pathway to pathway. So just because I start on one pathway doesn't mean I'm locked into that pathway. I just have to go find the corresponding level on a different pathway to see how to make it to a different, because we know that lots of students change their mind of what they want to do from the time they're freshmen. So we didn't want to make pathways where they were locked in. We wanted to give them flexibility. And the curriculum, resources, and technology. So at the very back of the attachment, you'll find that all of our resources are going to come from Pearson. Pearson is basically connected to Savvis, which is where we went with most of our resources for our core classes. But it wasn't so much the continuity that we were looking for; it was the alignment with the college piece. And Pearson is one of the biggest suppliers of college textbooks. And they hit all of our needs, and we really like their technology platform, so it's going to give students and teachers lots of options when it comes to the way they want to enter into the learning and how they can get support in their learning. Most of the technology we bought last year with our AP classes, the graphing calculators can be utilized in some of these classes as well. So we have most of the technology already in our classrooms. That's it for me. So I would be happy to answer any questions that you have about our electives, both existing and new.
Questions?
I do have a question. Is there any trigonometry built in?
Yes, trig is in our current Algebra 2 class. It's in geometry, it's in college algebra, it's in pre-calculus. So, back in the day, 30 years ago when I went to school here, trigonometry was a standalone semester course. The shift has kind of been to go away from that model and incorporate trigonometry into various courses because of the way it can be applied. So you will find trigonometry in our geometry course, in our Algebra 2 course, in college algebra, pre-calc. The new courses may not have I would say the contemporary algebra probably has the trig in it because it's more of a traditional. The other two, because of their the application nature, may not have. It's not as heavy, but it's in there.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions? All right, if not, I need a motion to approve the high school mathematics elective curriculum as presented. Mr. Christopher, second, Mr. George. All in favor, say aye.
Thank you.
Any opposed? All right, thank you.
Thank you, Amy. Next item is a request under extra activity task force, permission to meet. Henry's going to take us through that.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Myers. Good evening, members of the board. You have in your packet a memo from me just requesting permission from the Board of Education for the extra pay, extra duty task force to meet. Annually, we get requests from coaches and sponsors to consider adjustment of points for their clubs, for their sports that they sponsor or coach, or for existing, or for the, to add new clubs or sponsorships to the board-approved offerings. And so our policy outlines procedures for that, but first we need permission to meet. That's just the first step in this. If you grant the task force permission to meet, we'll get that meeting going. It'll be comprised of, as in our policy outlines, 4 teachers are appointed by the FCEA, our 4 activity coordinators, and I will chair that meeting as well. We would bring back any recommendations that the task force has back to a subsequent Board of Education meeting for your consideration and discussion at that point. This is just requesting to meet, so I would ask that you approve that request. We'll get a meeting scheduled.
Any concerns, comments? All right, if not, I need a motion to approve for them to meet. Mr. Christopher, second Dr. Marion, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, last item under new business is as you may have noticed, we're making some great progress on some of the projects. Weather's been helping us out a little bit. North Middle School is really speeding up, have the second layer poured, and the progress over there is starting to really take some shape. But if you haven't been up off Tom Ginevra, North High School is really at a place, especially with the cafeteria expansion, where the brickwork is going on. And as such, we probably need to get some furniture to go in that cafeteria when it's finished. And that's what Lisa has for you tonight.
Thank you, Dr. Myers. Members of the board, as Dr. Myers had stated, Jesse Bowman and I met with Buddy Entwistle out there to look at the seating and how we were going to get more seating in the new addition. And looking at that, we looked at some of their existing furniture. It's quite dated. A lot of the tables are in bad shape. We have stackable chairs, so when they have to meet or do anything to change, it's a matter of trying to gather chairs, stack them up. So Jesse and I, Jesse solicited bids from 2 vendors that she works with that provide good services, and to provide all new seating. It would be the tables that will have the bench seats already attached. They can fold up, they can roll, be easily moved if they need to clear the space out. And then in looking at that, they do have some good tables. And we've talked to Paul Becker in food services, and there are some schools that could use some other tables. They have some bad chairs or whatever. And in addition, the ones that aren't in good shape, we can even use parts off of them to support some other tables and chairs throughout the district that are having issues. So with that being said, the bids we received were from Smart Interiors and Office Essentials. Smart Interiors was the lowest of the 2 bidders. Their total quote was $159,930.56. That included some stool seating, because in their new addition, they'll actually have countertops in that new cafeteria addition where we can put some stools up. The kids can bar type, and just gather and stuff. So it'll be a very nice looking cafeteria when we're done. So with your approval, we'd like to move forward with that purchase using a buying co-op, which meets all our bidding requirements, and we should be good to go and get those in time for school next year.
Any questions? All right, if not, I need a motion to approve the North High School cafeteria furniture recommendations. Mrs. Bird, second. Mr. Christopher, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right.
Thank you.
All right. Next, we have comments from the board. I will start with you, Ms. Bird.
Thank you. First, congratulations again. Thank you all for all the hard work that you put into these presentations and getting the bids and writing curriculum. Really appreciate that. I also want to say best wishes and safe travels to the hundreds of Fort Zumwalt High School musicians who will be competing later this month at the state solo and ensemble competitions in Columbia. We'll be cheering you on.
Mr. Christopher.
Also like to say congratulations to Tommy and Gabriel, and enjoyed working with you the last 2 years, and look forward to continue it. You guys do good work, and it's important, and I'm glad that the public saw that. Good amount of votes that you guys got. So also thank you guys as always for the work. Getting down to the last month and a half or so. So continue to hang in there and be strong and finish it out to be a very successful year, I believe. Also want to give congratulations to Dana Martine. She's been with the district since 2017, and she was just recognized as a person that goes above and beyond for the well-being of children by the Child Advocacy Center up in Northeast Missouri. So pretty impressive, and it's always good to see people get recognized for the great work that they do for kids. So congratulations to Dana.
Mr. George?
Yeah, I want to echo what Johnny was saying. The year's zipping by, and I'd like to recognize everybody for all their hard work. You guys make it easy to be up here. All the school teachers and staff, they're doing a really good job, and I think we're on pace to have a good year. I had the privilege of speaking at Career Day last month at Hope High. I'd like to thank Dana Asher for asking me to do that again. She asked me last year to put a program together to speak on what I do as a construction electrician. I'd like to thank Dana. Maggie Wivers puts that program together, and she does a really good job. And I just wanted to recognize Abby Melier Carter. That was my homeroom teacher. She was really nice and made me feel welcome. And last but not least, Principal Bishop. He does, and all the teachers over there, they do a lot of good work at Hope High. I wanted to thank everybody that ran. I know that's a commitment, and it takes some, I don't know what the word is, but putting yourself out there. So I'd like to thank everybody that did run. And I wanted to recognize a student athlete. He is, I think, a senior. Kobe Anderson from North High. He just made first team all conference, and he was all tournament at MICDS, and he's got all kinds of records that I can't even go through. But I'd like to just give a shout out to him, and that's all I have.
Thank you. Dr. Mary?
Yeah, I also want to congratulate Tommy and Gabriel. Thrilled to have them back. And I also want to thank Erica for her continued work as president. Appreciate all you do and put into that. Thanks for continuing to do it. Also, Matt, very impressive. Thank you for all your work, Dr. Sand, and everyone else that was involved. I know that's a lot. I'm sorry, I can't hardly talk. But I also want to congratulate our Educator of the Year. So out of all of our schools and all of our support centers, Jen Crest was named the district's Educator of the Year. It's her 27th year in Fort Zumwalt, so that's a pretty big deal. We want to congratulate her. Also, if you're into theater, it's a good big weekend this weekend. East High presents Oklahoma. North High presents the SpongeBob musical. Somewhere under the sea, I bet. South High presents student-directed shows, and West High presents Shrek the musical. So get out, check it out.
Opportunity.
All right, thanks. I wanted to piggyback kind of what he was saying too, we have the Educator of the Year and the Employee of the Year. And I've served on the committee for Educator of the Year for the past several years. And it's a lot to read, Henry. But it's really cool because it really highlights, and we have so many awesome teachers and staff, but it's one of my favorite things because them talking about the passion and the things they do with their students, and it's so cool, and it's really hard to pick. And I feel like every year it gets more and more that I'm like trying to figure out, you know, I have my rating system now down, but I just want to say she was incredibly deserving along with everybody who was picked. They were awesome, but it's just, we got the best of the best, we do. And along with that, the Employee of the Year that won, not the employee or the employee, or not the educator, the employee that won, was a mechanic named Zach Miller. So I wanted to give a shout out to him too, because that was announced today, and it's pretty awesome. So that's all I have. Congrats, Tommy. Congrats, Gabriel, who's on my crap list.
Put that in a minute.
Yeah, add that in there. I hope he's watching.
Right.
I need a motion to go into closed session in accordance with RMSO 610.021 to discuss the approval of the minutes from our March 18th, 2024 closed session meeting and hiring, firing, promotion of personnel. Motion, please. All right, Mr. Christopher, second. Mr. George, all in favor? No, wait, do I need a roll call, I'm sorry. Roll call, Ms. Marks?
Mrs. Powers?
Yes.
Mr. Christopher?
Yes.
Dr. Marion?
Yes.
Mr. George?
Yes.
Mrs. Bird?
Yes.
Your words, not ours.
All right, we are now back in open session. I need a motion to adjourn from open session. Mr. George, second. Mr. Christopher? Do I need a roll call? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right.